Peace, HHDG. We are on another episode of HHDG Media, the podcast. Shout out to our HHDG Media Inc. crew that makes this possible every time you see us live on our podcast. That's Rock Vader KB, T. Smith, the Mayor, myself, Wiki, and Skelly Top. As you can see, we have our website on the banner below, hhdgmedia.com. There you can go and check out what merch we have available, the new music we put up there, future events, and also links to any upcoming mixtapes, definitely showcasing a lot of the talent that we like to present on our podcast. And for all those tuning in through our YouTube channel, Peace to y'all right now, and as well as our Facebook group, HHDG Media. We got our hip hop discussion group, HHDG, sorry. They tuning in as well, as always. Shout out to all of them. And for tonight, there's a dope producer project. I wouldn't say producer project. There's a dope album out by a talented producer. And he's definitely put in some time throughout the years of working with some artists that I've come up with. One of them actually from my borough, Staten Island, and a favorite coming out of Staten Island. Definitely worked with some well-knowns in the underground like C. Raised Walls, Double AB, and continues to put out some dope music. This new project that he just recently dropped on December 2nd called Tranquilizer Dart. It's definitely something that I've been waiting for when I first saw the announcement. And it was put out through Man Bites Dog Records, who definitely has a reputation for showcasing some dope artists and producers. With this new album, which we're going to get into, he definitely worked with some people that he's worked with in the past, and some that I don't recall him seeing him work with, but I know the names. And I'm not going to talk about the names just yet until we have them on. But he's definitely put in some time throughout the years. A lot of production on different albums, especially with Double AB and the PR Terrorists, also known as Don Pacino and Kill Army. So we're going to talk into, his style of production, which definitely always catches my ear. And I'm looking forward to hearing him really let the people know how he goes about his creative process. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dub Sonata.
What's going on?
Peace. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Doing good. Definitely. Appreciate you taking the time.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you having me.
Cool. So before we even talk about the album, in your early beginnings with hip hop, was before you started with your production, was there anything else in hip hop that you dabble with, or you still?
No, not really.
No?
I mean, as far as like becoming a musician and a beat maker and a producer, I was always, throughout early childhood, just always playing with like Casio keyboard type things, trying to learn the guitar and, going from one little thing to the next, never really like taking anything too seriously, giving stuff up, typical kid without discipline, you know what I mean? And, pick up something like the bass, try it out for a few months, move on. Around the age of 18, a couple of my boys were getting into beat making. One of them got an MPC himself, and throughout a couple of my friends and people who have grown into being producers themselves too, I started seeing like how songs were made. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of like gravitated towards this new instrument that previously I never really questioned how songs were made and things like that, until I started seeing it with my own eyes. And when I saw that, I was like, damn, this is some shit that I could do. This is some shit that I want to do. So, saved up the bread, got a couple little pieces of hardware, the MPC being one of them, and a little Yamaha thing called the RM1X, and just taught myself how to program drums and sample, and never looked back.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Now, when did how did photography come into play?
Well, my mom's a photographer, so I've kind of always been around that kind of
Okay.
stuff, but I never really took it seriously whatsoever until I moved to California, which is where I live now. I grew up in New York, but I've been out here for like 10 years. And previous to coming out here, the only time I would really like take any pictures is really when I would, be traveling somewhere or see something cool. It wasn't something that I really treated as like an art form, or something that I was studying. You know what I'm saying? So when
Okay.
I got out to California, it kind of felt for a couple of years that I was on a vacation, because this is so different than New York. It's almost like exotic to a New Yorker moving to certain parts of California. It's just kind of breathtakingly beautiful landscape. So I found myself being outdoors a little more, going hiking, going to, different places, that compelled me to bring a camera out more often. And the more I did that, the more I just naturally treated it kind of similarly to how I treated making beats. When I first saw it, I was like, yo, this is some shit I could do. Um, the same thing kind of happened with photography. Once I started looking at it, being a means of creating a finished product that people can like enjoy, like songs. You know what I'm saying? I kind of just dived into it and studied it. That's how that happened.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of photography, similar to like you were saying, like landscapes and nature. Because when I grew up, me and my pops always used to watch nature documentaries
No
on
doubt. Me too.
PBS.
Yep. Me too. Yep.
Wild America and
Yep.
Nature. Those are the two ones.
Yep. Yep. Channel 13. Oh yeah.
That's dope. Now I remember my first camera. It's funny because a lot of electronics now, when they cater to children, they have these type of colorful type of rubber casings on them.
Mm.
And the first camera I had was it had the flash tube adapter that you put on top
Ah,
with the 35 millimeter roll that you put in there.
word. That's dope.
You remember your first camera?
Oh man, I don't remember my first camera, but I certainly had a first camera, and it was a long time ago. Just because my mom is and was a photographer. But my first camera that I bought once I started trying to actually be a photographer, um, was a Canon 5D Mark III, and it was fairly new at that point. And I've just been a Canon shooter since. I actually recently moved from DSLR over to mirrorless, which is an interesting upgrade, little different, but cool. But yeah, late. I'll be honest. Late the last like year or so, I've done a lot less photo work than music work. I've kind of like switched gears back to music, kind of oppositely of what I did when I moved out here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. Hence the
Sticking with
album.
the got you, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sticking with the photography,
Uh-huh.
what kind of feeling does that give you when you're out there with the nature and the landscapes?
Sorry, what
Like
kind of what?
I was like, what captures you like with the landscapes and everything when you're out there?
What captures me? Well, that's hard to say. I guess in a way, I probably the same thing that captures most anybody that likes being outdoors. When you start when you're putting yourself in places and you go there with a camera, you start looking at them a little bit differently. You start figuring out, it's almost like it really is another form of sampling, if you want to break things down, because I'm a sample based beat maker. And going through records, you're looking for little pieces of inspiration that you could build into something new. When you're out wherever you are in the outdoors, yeah, at a concert, doing a photo shoot, the photographer is sampling what's in front of them. You know what I'm saying? They're just kind of framing it their way. So that's, I don't know, a lot of weird shit inspires me outside. You could look for abstract little patterns and things that waves are doing, or fog, or whatever, the clouds. But really half of it, and the better half, is just being outside and being lucky enough to experience that kind of stuff, because I just as easily could have never really developed an interest in this. And you know is what it is.
Sorry, my connection was acting up a little bit.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, it looked like you froze for a minute. Did you get that, or did I drop out? You want to go back?
No, no, no. You were still there.
Cool.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, because so a lot of people they find a certain type of peace with photography. So that's why that was one of the reasons why I was asking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a different kind of, what's the word? Like creative fulfillment. It's very different than music making. But the biggest and best difference is that music making, at least for me, I collaborate with people plenty, but it's usually like in a tiny little studio room, or if I'm a lot of the beats I make, I just make them in my crib in a little bedroom, so I'm inside solo all the time. So it's nice to be able to like get some kind of creative fulfillment when you're outside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Um, Don Pacino.
Yeah,
You've worked with this guy a lot, so you got to tell us the story how y'all linked up.
yeah.
It's been probably what, almost 2 decades now.
Almost, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, it's the early 2000s that we met. He had just started putting out some of his solo stuff after Killer Army. And yeah, we just met through like some mutual people. This was a while ago. And whoever it was, they were like, yo, this dude got beats and he's got a lab, you guys should link up. So we just linked up like that. It was cool. Came through. Came. I think the first time he went up there, he might have come with Shaheem. Came with a bunch of people, but he was up
okay,
there for a
that's
while.
dope.
This was like 04, 05, something like that. Um, and yeah, I think the first album was the was it the damn, I'm trying to think. The Arsenal, was that it? I don't know, man. It was a while ago, but I did a whole bunch of beats on one of them, and then from there on out, we just stayed consistently, working together.
Yeah, it was either the Arsenal or the Grunge. I know it was one of those two.
Oh, it was definitely the Arsenal. That was
Okay,
before. Yeah. That was probably same period of time. But yeah, the Arsenal was first.
mm, that's dope, man.
Yeah.
Because you don't see, if you do see someone that continuously works like that, the thing is, they gotta have some a good chemistry going on, to continuously have that, and then at the same time, aside from the music, develop a friendship.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, since like the first time he came through there, we just started knocking out joints. It's easy. You know what I mean? We could just knock out joints all day. I mean, we've got a lot. I could not tell you even half the songs that we've done. There's so many.
Mhm.
I don't even remember, half of the titles. I just know them. Because yeah, they stretch back like 20 years.
That's dope.
And we got that new joint that he did. I'm sure you heard it, the Illest Latin Rapper joint, like
Yep.
earlier in the year.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a dope one.
Yeah, man. I give him credit all the time. He's consistently working. He
Yep.
he got his own label. He's doing everything independent through his own stuff, and I like the way he markets his physicals because he lets you know when it's going to be out. he gives you a specific time, and then after that, that's it.
Yep, yep,
And he's always maintained, that type of machine with his music.
yep. He's consistent.
Hmm.
He's doing some dope video work now too.
Yeah. I mentioned C. Ray's Walls in the intro.
Hmm.
He's another artist that I've been listening to for quite some time. I've seen
Mm.
him freestyle outside of Fat Beats back in the day, and
Hmm.
he's always been dope. I've always given his props.
Yeah, I met him, around the same time. I linked up with Vast Air. Um, that was like that was actually the same era, like early mid 2000s. Me and AB were working a lot together. Um, we were just about to drop his album, The Diesel. I don't know if you got a chance to check that out. But I did most of the beats
Yeah.
on that one,
Hmm.
and yeah, that was dope. We were knocking out a lot of stuff with a whole lot of people, a lot of cool stuff in that era.
Go sticking with that era. Just from the three people that you already mentioned,
Hmm.
how give us the people listening a glimpse of just how it was at that time. Like, who were the other type of artists that you met? You know, how were you approached? With your production, like did people put the word of mouth? Check out Dub Sonata.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. A big part of a lot of the stuff I did was that I had a room in the studio. It was like one of them, like warehouse type joint. Many different rooms, different producers and whatnot. Kind of studio facility. It was called the Mess Hall in Mount Vernon. It was pretty well known. It was there for many, many years. So I had a room in there for a long time, and there was just so many people in and out of that place that way more than half of the people I've worked with, way more are a result of just hallway traffic, just people being in there and just meeting
Hmm.
people, passing along beat CDs, whatever, leaving the door open, banging out beats and kind of just going fishing. People walk in, oh, what's going on, stuff like that. So that was it. The majority, like of the people that I met, especially in that era, it was because I had that facility because I was just there in the mix every single day.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Hmm. Now, before we, because I'm trying to hold off on talking about Tranquilizer Dart just yet.
Oh, okay.
Um, it was about, you said, I believe it was 10 years since your the last release, right?
Yeah, since my own Dub Sonata release, yeah, that was Media Shower in 2012 with Double AB. I was also on the same label, Man Bites Dog.
Like, so what was going on, during that time? Because I mean, I remember Media Shower when that came out. That
Oh, no
was, like
doubt.
you said, that was dope. And I think around that time is when I started getting more familiar with the label, Man Bites
Man Bites,
Dog.
no doubt. Yep. Yeah, they were making a lot of noise back then too. So AB and I linked up with Ryan at Man Bites Dog through Vast, who had worked with him and done a couple projects with him. And AB and I had this Media Shower joint that we were working on, almost done with, whatever. Vast was on it, a couple songs, and yeah, we just started talking with Ryan. Ryan was into it. We clicked. We did a bunch of new material for it, and yeah, it was dope. That I was happy with that. That was a pretty well received project. It was fun. We're actually,
You,
on that topic, almost spaced on this. I got to mention this. We're about to drop shortly. I would say realistically in the next, like, maybe month or two. We're gonna drop
Mm-hmm.
kind of, because it's been 10 years. We're gonna do a little like 10-year anniversary packaging of the album. We're gonna call it alternate media. It's going to be like, 6 to 8 tracks, a little EP of some slightly different versions. We got some alternate takes from different guests, and we got a couple
That's
remixes
dope.
of a couple really dope producers that I won't mention just yet, but it's going to be a cool little project. So, maybe wake people up who didn't quite catch Media Shower back in the day, put out something a little old, a little new, and, you know, put it out there.
Mm, that's dope.
Yeah.
Dope, dope, dope. So let's go to this year, 2022.
Hmm.
What catapulted you to not just Tranquilizer Dart, but you're on Guilty Symptoms latest project, Double AB,
Yep.
Copyright,
Yep.
um, Impulse.
Yep.
What
Yep.
what was yeah, what sparked, those creative juices that just keep going?
Well, um, I mean, I've just been making a lot of beats lately. Even a lot of the stuff that has come out, especially on Tranquilizer Dart. Some of it is older material that never got released when we recorded it. But I've just been making a lot of beats and just sending out packs and reconnecting with people that I previously worked with or I want to work
Hmm.
with, and just getting active again. A lot of it has to do with me. Most of the time I've been out here, I didn't have my like the greater part of my record collection here. It was in storage in New York.
Okay.
Um, long story. Fast forward a year or two ago, I had to move it, and I saved a few thousand of them, but I got rid of like many thousands of LPs, heartbreakingly. But yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
sold them in a
I know that's hard.
yeah, it wasn't fun. I mean, I did it in a smart way. I kept the good stuff, but still,
Mhm.
um, having a lot of records back in my crib again, which is something I just hadn't had whatsoever, in 10 years. I mean, what do you think happened? Like I had an MPC, so it's like I'm in a room with an MPC and records again.
Mhm.
I just start banging out joints, and it's like the pandemic's going on. I've just been inside working. So, it's kind of like a chain reaction of things that led to me making a lot of new material. And, I've always had like the wanting to to put out another compilation album and the makings of it, even though a lot of this stuff is like kind of old, at least a third of the album is probably 10 to 15-year-old recordings. Some of the beats are that old too, but it was fresh and it was burning a hole in my hard drive. I just kind of, at a certain point, I just looked at like a iTunes playlist, and I was like, dude, that's an album right there. There's enough,
Mhm.
just put it out there.
Dope, dope, dope. Hmm. When it comes to creating your production,
Mhm.
what's one of those go-to vocals that just they always catch you and you got to do something with it?
What do you mean as far as artists?
Yeah, or a genre.
Oh, you mean as far as sampling?
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, well, probably. I mean, this is a cliche answer, but probably like soul. I mean, I'm wildly into that kind of music, listening to it just as a listener, but sampling it. I mean, it's almost a cheat code. A lot of that stuff is just so easy to hear as a beat. Just chopping things up in my head like a lot of beat makers do. But I try to dig far and wide, and source records from places that are not um, typically being dug by a lot of other people like me, especially when I'm fortunate enough to travel, which has been often during certain periods of my life. So that's one way that I amassed a little vinyl stash,
Hmm.
which you can't see, but there's like a few thousand of them, like right there and right behind me. They're
Okay.
everywhere. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, man. When you just mentioned about getting rid of your collection like that, I know how it is because I got records in my parents' attic. I got records in storage. I got records at home. So I know how it is.
Yeah, it's a crazy love and addiction. It's like I mean, I am not a hoarder. I'm such a minimalist, but like just the thought of moving ever just is a nightmare because of the weight of these things and the real estate they take up. I mean, it is problematic. It's very problematic, but I love it. I fucking love it.
Hmm. Tell us where your name originated.
I just made it up, like dub, make it to dub something, make a copy of it,
Hmm.
and then Sonata, like I said in one interview back in the day, I said Sonata like some Beethoven shit. It sounds stupid, but that's exactly how I just put two words together, and I thought it was cool. I just went with it. That's it.
So for your photography,
Hmm.
have you ever thought about using that for any of your albums, or has it been for any
Mm, yeah,
albums? Maybe not even yours, but maybe for someone else.
yeah. Well, I've got a little side project called Evening Elevator. We haven't really released very much, but we put a couple of tracks out there, and on one of them I used some of my photography, and on another one I used my boy's photography. Um, but yeah, I would like to do that. And honestly, something I haven't done enough of, or really anything is merging these two different things that I do. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I guess with the Evening Elevator stuff, we put out a video. If anybody's interested in checking it out, it's Evening Elevator. And the song is called Higher. But I did that video with a drone. It's like aerial photography, aerial videography from where I live now. So that was the closest that I've got. But I have a lot of material over the past 10, 20 years in these two different fields that I would like to figure out a way to like cohesively put them together in a way that makes sense.
Hmm.
Landscape photography and hip hop, there's very little overlap, at least in like in my fan base. Like my photography followers don't seem to really care about the music, and likewise, a lot of the music people are like, it's cool photo. Like I don't give a fuck, which is cool. Like I understand it, but I'm still trying. I'm still looking for that like that piece of overlap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you could definitely put your music as a backdrop to the drone aerial views.
Yeah, check out that video Higher, because I mean it's a straight up beat. I could say it's a dub sonata track. It's just
Mhm.
it's almost an instrumental. There's a little bit of vocal on it, but it's me and my boy Tim Segreto. Our project is called Evening Elevator, and hopefully we'll be dropping a little bit more of that stuff soon.
Yeah,
Evening,
I'm definitely look that up.
yeah, Evening Elevators on Tranquilizer Dart on a couple songs, so you get a little taste of it there.
Dope, dope, dope. Mm. So let's get into Tranquilizer Dart.
Yeah.
Start off the artwork.
Well, the artwork was based on the title, of course, and the
Hmm.
title is like there's a title track. This is it's a compilation. There's very little that a lot of these songs have to do with each other, except for the fact that I produced them all. So I didn't really have like a name for the project or a concept at all. So I just looked at the titles, and that one was just like it's such a dope title, Tranquilizer Dart. I think
Yeah.
so. So,
Hmm.
I hit up Swigga, aka L
Natural
Swig.
elements.
Yep.
Hmm.
That's an older recording from like the late 2000s, '08 or '09 or something like that. Um, that we did with Nicholas F. Who they had both come to the studio. That place, the mess hall, and yeah, I think Nicholas F. and I did one other track. Uh, Whenever that was called Stand Tall. And then the same day we did this joint with Swigga that I think it was going to be like a Swigga song, but it just never came out. And that beat ended up being on Media Shower. So the vocals kind of just sat there on my hard drive for mad long. So when I started conceptualizing a compilation and like, you know, like I said, the iTunes playlist, like taking these old songs and seeing like, you know, what never got released, like what was dope enough to be reworked. So I took them vocals and I put under a new beat, sent it to Swigga. He liked it, and then I was just like, "Yo, cool! Like let's just roll with this for the album title." So that's how that happened. And then I just like when I think about Tranquilizer Dart, the first thing I thought of was like these like crazy like viral YouTube videos of people getting mauled in like like India by leopards that are just chilling, like roaming the streets. So and there's like pictures and footage of people like trying to hit a leopard with a trank dart, leopard midair, about to pounce on them. So I was like, yo, I want to capture that moment for the cover. And I found this dope artist named Algie Saputra, and they killed it. They executed exactly what I saw in my mind. Um, so yeah, that's how the artwork and title track and title song happened.
That's dope.
Yeah,
And shout out to Nicholas F., the Richmond VA veteran.
yeah, very dope artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was dope. You should. I don't think it's on streaming. I looked for it recently, but you could probably find it. It was like during the blog era. This song that we did called "Stand Tall" came out, and I'm sure it's somewhere. I'm sure it's living on YouTube or somewhere. There's got to be out there somewhere. But check that out. That was a dope one too.
Yeah, I'm definitely sure it's out there.
Yeah, so that was one song, and then yeah, you know, we got 9 other joints. My boy Double AB is on a couple songs. Vast and Vortal are both on a joint. Vortal's on a couple
Yeah.
joints. Guilty Simpson and Copyright and Muja Messiah are on a joint with Evening Elevator. My boy Tim singing the hook. Yeah, I mean, I could go through the whole track list if you want. It's just a whole bunch of collaborators. Yeah, so
Definitely.
yeah, track 2 is Nature and Rhyme Fest. That's another one from the archives. Me and Nate did that. Same beat but different drums back in like '08 or something like that. And then Rhyme Fest when he was there, same era or maybe like a year or two later. I just played it for him. He liked it. You know, put the hook down. We moved on. That was it. And the song just kind of sat there. That's another one that I revived. Let me see. Track 3 is a Vortal track. Kind of, you know, old, not as old, but older recording. And then a song called "Somebody Should Have Warned You," and that's the one with Don Pacino on it, with
Sadat
and
Yep.
Craig G. Yep. Yeah. So that's a really, really, that's one of my favorite ones. That's a dope one. Yeah. Then the Guilty Copy Muja joint, title track, which I mentioned. I think the next one is Amen. It's like a solo kind of interlude type track with Evening Elevator. Me and my boy, our side project. Kind of stylistically different. It's not boom bap. It's more like trappy, 808 bass heavy, but it was cool. I really liked it. I wanted to, you know, include it on the album, even though it's stylistically a little bit off. I thought it was, you know, a dope showcase of what Evening Elevator could do. Then there's the Can Ox track with Copy again and Double AB again, and then we had a track with the Aztecs, who's a really dope Burlington crew, with Mopes, formerly known as Prolific from Strange Famous Records. And then the last track was called Another Day, and that had Revelation, Bobby J
EMS
from
crew.
Rockaway,
Mm-hmm.
EMS
Yep.
crew.
He's doing this thing right now.
Yep. and M dot. Yeah. So that rounds out the album.
Yeah, it's dope, man. There's an element that I don't. Not every producer is capable of doing, and you did it perfectly on here. And
Thank
that's
you, man.
the certain MCs that you have on each track, because anybody can go and cut and paste verses and put it on there, but the producer is they have that ear, and they know who they want to have on that track, and just certain producers are capable of knowing who's going to work well together. And I mean, you've done it on Tranquilizer Thought.
Thank you. I mean, I really appreciate that. I think a lot of the reason is because nowadays there are so many copy pasted albums out there, and it doesn't make them any less dope. Some of the songs are, they're incredible, right? People, send in a verse, fly in a verse, or get a verse, or blah blah blah. Same thing with
Mm-hmm.
beats and everything, and that's cool. But it doesn't. Sometimes things don't really make sense, and these songs might make sense to you because almost all of them were done, especially all the old ones were done in the same room with people, with me. Most of the collaborators, they know each other, have worked with each other, so a lot of these songs are just, they're pretty natural. They're not really copy pasted. They might look like that
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many compilation albums and God knows how they happen, or who really cares. But yeah, a lot of these are just natural pairings of artists that wanted to work together or already did, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's you said it exactly the way it is. I mean, it's I've seen albums where there could be like 40 different artists on there. That doesn't it doesn't there's no substance to it all the time. Just because you have all these artists, it's more of like a marketing scheme sometimes.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's dope as hell. I mean, but a lot of features are, that's it, marketing schemes. I mean, I can't front, if I had the same album with like, 20 different artists that nobody had known about, nobody would, or a lot less people would pay attention to the album. So I understand the usefulness, and the benefits of having people, like, people feature on people's albums, whether you're an artist or a producer or a label. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's all about making a dope song. If you could do it through email, more power to you. Sometimes I can, and that's just fine for me. But I will say I'd highly prefer to get in the room with people and collaborate face to face. For me, it always works a lot better that way.
absolutely. Yeah. And what I call the last final factor of creating a really great sounding album is the engineering. You did the mixing, and Count Fifth did the mastering.
Yup, correct. Yeah. So, I mean, the way I usually work is, I've mastered stuff. I've mastered a couple of the songs that we spoke previously about that weren't on my album. But I would usually rather mix things myself, and then get a separate pair of ears on things, because oftentimes I become ear fatigued very, very badly, and I start doing weird, crazy shit, and it starts sounding good to me. And then I lose track of the original idea, which was fine. You know what I mean? So I,
Gotcha.
I usually like to just have one like last filter of taste to before I finish my shit. Especially when we're talking about songs that are like a decade old. I've been listening to them a certain way, if at all, you know, probably in not the most ideal way. So yeah, what I do is usually do my own mix, leave plenty of headroom, give it to a mastering engineer. This time it was Count Fifth, and give him like stems. Like I like giving the mastering guy a little more wiggle room. Um,
Hmm.
so I'll give like a kick stem, a bass stem, snare stem, rest of percussion stem, melodic stem, and vocals, scratches, whatever, just. give him a little bit of a wiggle room just in case I could have done my mixing job better. You know what I'm saying? Because I really am a beat maker first. I'm not like a trained engineer. I've just done so many songs that I think I know what sounds good. But
Develop, yeah.
oh, of course, and everybody
Hmm.
does. The more you do this stuff, you don't. It's not like you don't really have to go to school for it. You don't at all. As a matter of fact, you just have to put in work and have useful ears around you to help you get good at it.
Yeah,
But with that said, I still like getting another pair of ears on it to finish things off for me because mastering it's just a different process than mixing. And sure, I can do a master in 5 minutes and it'll sound very good and nobody's gonna complain. But there are people that will just do a slightly better job. And if I have access to that, I'll go with that every time.
got you. Absolutely. You had piano, bass, and trumpet on this album.
Mm-hmm. On the my song. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Tell us,
those.
tell us how that came to be, and let the people know who those people were that
Sure. Yeah,
did
yeah,
this
yeah.
phenomenal work on my song.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So the pianist is Christopher Burke, ridiculously, extraordinarily talented musician from New York. I've known for a long time. He played the piano on the Nights in Cuba album, incidentally, also. And he's involved in some newer projects that I've got kind of going on the side as well. So shouts to him. The trumpet player was Dr. Ryan Gardner. Haven't talked to him since those days. All well, Christopher Burke's piano part was new, but the trumpet was very very old. Same era that we did the vocals in, like before 2010, definitely. And that's also the trumpet player who played on Nights in Cuba. So yeah, like same era, working with a lot of the same people. You know what I mean? And it was
Hmm.
a lot of it was thanks to this facility I had, where I had a really good spot to record not just vocals but live players too. So I tried to do as much of that as possible. Media shower. At least 10 of the beats are, a live bass. Nights in Cuba, almost all electric bass or upright. um, it's always, sampling is that's what I do best. But I love to, work with people who can express themselves on instruments the way that I can't. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
yeah. And what was who else was on that? Oh, Lanice, my friend Lanice Callie Smith, did the background vocals for the hook. And what was the other one? Am I missing one for that track? Piano, trumpet.
The bass. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, nah, there I don't there was no bass, no live bass
Oh
on
no,
that
I'm
song,
sorry.
right?
That was another song. Yeah, that was another song. He had someone play
Yeah,
an
yeah.
instrument.
Yeah, that was the Butterfly Effect. That was Gil Deckel, a good friend of mine, phenomenal bassist. He's been uh playing with me on various projects for a long time, since that era.
So, we have some live instrumentation on this album. Um, got you as a producer, and this was a conversation that DJ JS1 just brought up a few days ago. But you had some scratches on there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Big shouts to my boy DJ Nice. Um, Another guy I've known for, 20 years solidly, um, from near my neighborhood in the Bronx. And he did scratches on the arm. He did scratches and beats for Don Pacino back in that day. Actually, I don't know if you ever took note of that, but he's on the Arsenal too. I believe he's on one of those albums. DJ Nice, really dope DJ, dope beat maker. And yeah, I hit him up. When I figured out what songs I was going to put on this little project, I hit him up and was like, "Yo, you know, would you want to just handle all the cuts? Just do them." And he
Mhm.
was like, "Yeah, no doubt." So sent him a bunch of stuff, and he turned them around. I think he's on 3 or 4 songs. But yeah, big shouts to him.
Yeah, I do recall on your project On the Arm with DJ Nice. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he did at least a couple scratches on that album. But yeah, really, really, really dope DJ.
So,
I'm not a
boy,
DJ. That's why I employ the help of people like DJ Nice and all these, live players, because, my talents only go so far. The rest is usually a truly collaborative process with other people.
yeah, I definitely appreciate scratches on any hip hop album. But to circle back real quick to what you were saying,
Hmm.
you know what your talents are, what your skills, what you're capable of. So when you say that you reached out to someone who you know can DJ, when you know plays a certain instrument, who you know is good at mastering. I mean, there's too many people that try to do what they're not really capable of.
Yeah,
But you want that complete album, you gotta reach out to those people.
yeah, definitely. I mean, everything, or most good things are the results of collaborations. And if you look at whether it's a song or a movie, or even like a building, the most of the greatest works of art or architecture or whatever the case may be are truly the results of a lot of people playing their parts in
Hmm.
in synchrony. So if you can kind of detach yourself, I think, from some of the things that you might like to do and think that you're capable of doing, I think trying to wear like all hats sometimes can be a detriment. I mean, I experience it myself. I'm currently trying to do all this video editing stuff, and it takes me 5 or 10 times the amount it would take a real video dude. But I don't know. I'm personally in the exact predicament I'm describing. So I could feel it. But either way, working with other people who can do their jobs better than you can, yeah, has always been I'm always quick to relinquish responsibility when there are better people in the room than me. You know what I'm saying? If somebody can do something better,
I got you.
because collaboration is not just about everybody's idea wins. It's about like who are the collaborators and who's introducing different ideas to the room, and which one. Sometimes not every idea is going to fit. It doesn't mean it's not good. It just means that it might not be the best one. And I'm not always going to have the best idea.
Mhm. But you are the catalyst, and that example right there, that's you being a catalyst.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of being a producer. A producer definitely wears many hats, and sometimes they're delegating things elsewhere, and it's kind of looking at the big picture, zooming out, not what's good for this, like like one little decision, but what really is good for the bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for people like myself who enjoy physicals, Tranquilizer Dart is available on vinyl and CD.
Yes, on the Man Bites Dog Bandcamp, um, which is let me just pull it up, make sure I got the right one. manbitesdogrex.bandcamp.com. And they've got a ton of other projects that they've dropped
Put that up in
recently.
the comments for
Oh,
everybody to
thank
see
you.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's on vinyl. There's still a handful left. And there's some CDs, and we did some t-shirts. There might be one of them left too. And next, coming up soon, pardon me, coming up soon, we're gonna be re-releasing this album called Nights in Cuba that I did back in 2010, which is a really cool instrumental project.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah, so that's going to be shipping shortly to everybody who bought the bundle. Thank you very much, and it'll be on its way soon. That's that the video stuff that I'm kind of caught up working on presently is some video component to this project from my last trip to Cuba. So yeah, I got plenty to say about that. That's a really cool project, and happy to have it be released on vinyl for the first time. It's definitely a project that needs to be on wax.
Yep. You just let it play.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tracks on that is Pez en la Calle.
Oh, no doubt. That's like that goes a little left field, right? It's kind of like a weird, yeah, drum and bass kind of influence. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a track can be a metaphor for a lot of things in Cuba. It's a really, really great place and great people, but it's tough to live. I've been there a couple times, and I know a handful of people down there fairly well, and it's just kind of shocking that 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 life is that a 45-minute plane ride away from Fort Lauderdale, you know, and there's very little that you can do to help. Um, with that said, the place is a lot of fun. It's like overflowing with music and art and dance, and that's what I go down there for. I try to mix it up with local musicians, and just yeah, chill with the people that I met last time I was there. Found a bunch of them, and yeah, just enjoy the show.
Yeah, man. I'd love to go and visit. Just to absorb their culture.
It is it's a lot of fun. It's crazy. It's high energy. I wouldn't call it like a vacation. I'm sure that there are places that people go to vacation and relax, but if you go and kind of just stay in the middle of Havana, it's high energy. I mean, it's exactly what I go there for. Um, but I was lucky enough on my first trip, which was back in 2010. I was lucky enough to meet a group of musicians out there, percussionists who, they ultimately were the reason that I was able to pick up vinyl and made that whole album possible. But these people like took me into their family's crib. Me and my boy were down there, and just we just rolled with these people for like
That's
a week
great.
and a half, and yeah, this was like this was pre US tourism era, so we didn't really go there like whatever way that that you were supposed to. We just kind of hopped over from another island nearby. No plan, no nothing. The internet wasn't really there, so
Mhm.
we just flew there with no plan. Like we just wanted to see live music and like just chill, eat, walk around, whatever. um but yeah, we mixed it up with some really, really dope musicians, professional musicians down there, who just made the experience. I mean, it's like you hope for things like that to happen when you just kind of take it, like buy a ticket and take the ride without having any kind of knowledge of what's going to happen. Like things, sometimes things just happen in such a perfect way that you look back on it, and like things that result in a whole album like Nights in Cuba. You look back and think about how easily none of it could have happened. You know what I'm saying? It was just one of those really crazy trips. But because there was no internet, or at least like for most people down there was no internet access the first trip. I had no way to find these people that I met except just like roaming the streets, finding other musicians, talking to people, and yeah, it took like 2 days, but I found all these people, mixed it up with them again, and yeah, it was, I kind of repeated the process this time with cameras in my hand. My friend was there with me, so we kind of documented the whole thing this time. Uh,
That's good.
Went back, dug up another crate of records, Um, it was crazy because the first time I was there, uh, I got most of the records from a little store. It was like a general store with like 10, 12 different vendors in it, and there was a record seller in the back. So turns out this dude passed away like a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. But I managed to meet, ask a couple people and explain what I was trying to do. And they linked me up with his friends and family who live in the crib that he used to live in before he passed. And they invited me over to dig their whole, his whole collection again, which they're in the process of turning into a store again. But it was like a full circle kind of thing, and I gave him a copy of the album, explained like what I did. And it was some crazy shit that, like, I mean, I never could have planned that or thought that out. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
hopefully in another year, it's going to take me a minute, but maybe I'll make another, like, a totally different Nights in Cuba project, a brand new one out of these records. Cause basically, it's worth saying that whole album, what all the beats were based off of samples from this crate of records that I brought back from Cuba, all Cuban music. So now that I got another crate to go through from there, I'm sure I'll be able to whip up something dope.
Absolutely. I always say the best way to experience another country is to travel throughout that country with someone that actually lives there, as
Facts.
opposed to, the whole tourist type of way of, showing you the country. When you're from, like, boots on the ground, from that person that lives there, the experience is something that you hold true to yourself, for the rest of your life.
Facts. Facts. I've been uh I've been lucky enough to been invited or kind of invite myself along to some international weddings, which of course lead to hanging out with locals, families, in various countries and continents. And those trips, namely to Morocco, where I dug records and came back with some crazy stuff, Thailand, and Myanmar. All of those places and many more, but those three namely,
Nice.
where I was, able to spend like long periods of time. In two of those cases, go back to numerous times. And yeah, I mean, the difference between like kicking it in a hotel and going to eat at the flyest restaurants is a lot different than like just going somewhere and just like, turning shit off and just being there. You know, you want to go see how it is in such and such place, find somebody and go there, like go to their family's crib, give them some bread,
Hmm.
take care of them, and just live. See how it is. Forget about the hotels. It takes knowing people and connections to be able to do that stuff. It's not like you could just pick up and do it. But anytime I've literally I've heard from people like, yo, such and such is getting married in such and such country, and I'd be like, yo, we're cool. Can you see if it'd be cool if I roll like that? And I've got a lot of, like, thankfully, friends who, they didn't think to invite me to their international wedding, but they were cool with me tagging along. So anytime that there's been something like that, I've jumped on it and done it. And the things that happen there are, some of the craziest, unplanned experiences of my whole life.
Hmm. That's dope.
Yeah.
Now, being that you mentioned these different countries that
Yeah.
you've been to, I have a question, since I noticed that you capture lightning in some of his best moments. With
Thanks.
at a in most of these countries that you've been to, where's one of the places that you captured one of those moments? Whether you took a picture of it or you just visually saw it.
What, like, of like lightning particularly?
Lightning, yeah. Hmm.
I've seen it happen. I saw quite a bunch in Cuba this past trip when I was there a few months ago. Saw a lot in Thailand. Uh, I mean, yeah, that a lot of my heavy traveling predates my like newer obsession with photographing lightning and storms. It's just kind of it's a form of photography. I wouldn't ever call myself a storm chaser, but I enjoy every year, every summer for 2 or 3 weeks going out to Arizona, bringing a turntable, MPC, Crater Records, and making beats in the morning, and then in the afternoon going out and photographing storms. It's a lot of fun. It's exhilarating. you know, it can as a photographer, it can result in pictures that really can't be recreated. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
Hmm.
and like the thrill of being out there in these storms. Not only is it, you know, just beautiful to look at and awesome, but I don't know. It's just crazy. I don't know. It gives me a rush. I love that shit. I love the open road. I love it's a crazy place. Arizona is wild and crazy, but I love that shit. So generally, all that stuff I do in Arizona, or when I'm in New York, which I still visit very frequently. You know, if I got nothing to do when I'm there and I know a storm is coming, there's a few places where you can. The storms usually all do the same thing in some of these places, you know, especially in New York. They all generally come in the, you know, from the same direction. So there's predictable places and technology that, you know, you set up your camera, you use a little gadget, a little lightning trigger, and you set up there, and you know it kind of captures it for you. I'm making it sound a little bit easier than it really is, but you know it's a lot of fun. It's, you know, it's
Hmm.
kind of exhilarating being out there, and yeah,
Yeah, I've always been fascinated with, just the way the climate and the clouds and the weather comes just before a bad storm.
no doubt.
And then you see that lightning from afar, and then you notice when it gets closer how just the way everything forms it's just amazing how Mother Nature is.
Indeed. You know, a lot of the like my interest in photographing lightning and storms and whatnot kind of stems from after you pursue landscape photography as like an art form or whatever, a study. You eventually realize that you got to learn a lot about weather, unless you want to
Mm,
waste a whole lot of time going out, you know, to places that, you know, sometimes could take you, you know, hours or even days to reach, right? You want to know when to go. So you got to kind of learn about weather, because you know not every scene is going to look the same in just any light. In fact, no scene will look the same. um, so it's almost like landscape photography, if you look at it, if you kind of merge like the concept of weather event photography with landscape photography. Like if you
mhm.
put yourself in a beautiful place when something beautiful happens, that's how you come out with a you know, typically very compelling pictures, as opposed to just going out there and just getting whatever you get in shitty light, you know. Like the Golden Gate Bridge, which is photographed like a billion times a day, like it's boring.
Yeah, those are beautiful
It's
when you see the clouds from a top like
right,
that.
right. There's like different, you know, conditions that happen that, you know, make the average person stop and be like, damn, that's crazy,
Hmm.
you know. So
Yeah, I remember maybe 2 or 3 years ago, for the first time I saw a double rainbow, and I was just stuck. Never seen that before in my life.
no doubt. Yeah, I mean now like when it rains during certain light and in certain ways, like anywhere I am, I almost like I know like, oh, like there will probably be a rainbow over there, like in that from that angle. You know, that's the kind of the way you just start looking at light and weather and shit
Hmm.
when you know spend enough time, you know, doing the landscape photography stuff.
That's dope, man. Yeah, man. Just visually, pleasing photography. I got the chance to look through what you put up on your IG, maybe about a week ago.
Oh,
So
no
yeah,
doubt.
definitely like what I saw there. It's
Thank
nature.
you.
Just capturing nature. I think is one of the best types of photography. Just seeing it in its raw and natural form, whether it be the animals or the weather. It's amazing.
It'll never get old to me, man. It'll never ever get old to me. I love this shit. Um, I mean, you know, sometimes I treat it professionally, you know, photography, but 99% of the days I go out and spend time and therefore money doing this stuff, you know, most of it ends up not making me a ton of money. But that's not why we do anything that we look at as an art form, right? Same with like, you know, I can make 20 beats and one or two of them might make some money. If you told a businessman that, the businessman would be like, that's a bad formula, like do something else.
Mhm.
But you know, we're different.
Definitely dope. Now, dream um, artists to work with.
Mm, they might not be alive. I don't know. I mean, that list would go on forever. There's just, I mean, there's so many people that I really would love to work with.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Somebody asked me this the other day. Like I answered Nas. There's like, you know, other names that I could say just as truthfully. You know, people that I've been listening to and looking up to for like throughout different eras. And there's obviously like plenty of them still around, still dope, always will be dope.
That's dope. Mm. And if you were to ever go to another form of equipment, I know you love the MPC.
Mm-hmm.
What would it be?
Well, for a long time, I was just making beats in Logic. You know, once you've like made enough beats, you don't like, I mean, there, you can't manipulate samples, or at least I can't without an MPC. I need like fingers to pads for like chopping samples. Just the way that I'll never relearn that the shit that I do on an MP. But with drums, I mean, I don't even bother doing drums in an MPC anymore. If the idea is dope and I like what I did with the sample, dump it immediately. I don't use Pro Tools anymore. I use Logic. Dump it in there, loop it up, and then just place drums. Like I just, that part I don't need the MP for. I'm not one of these like producers. Like I don't care about that. I want to make songs. I want to get them like done and let people listen to them. I'm not a performer. I wish I was, but it's just like one of those things like being a DJ. Like I didn't feel a calling to be a DJ, and I didn't feel a calling to be a live beat maker. I find it phenomenal how dope people are that do that shit on stage as a performer. I'm one of those people. I put it in Logic nowadays and put drums to it, and you know that's where the beat ultimately lives until it gets turned into a song.
Dope, dope, dope. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so to answer that question, yeah, probably just Logic. I would just do shit, you know, in the computer. I'll just figure out a way. Like I got one of these new MPCs, the MPC, what is it? The MPC Live 2, newer, and you know, most sane people use it as a like a MIDI controller. Like I use it like
Okay.
it's an MPC 2000. I have my record player plugged into it, and then I do stereo out into the interface. I do everything
Mm-hmm.
like inside the thing. Yeah, it's ridiculous that I haven't taken advantage of a lot of the technology. It's on my to-do list. I just never do it. You know, to like hook the MPC up through USB MIDI. I just have never done that. It's you know people look at me like you're stupid. You've got this the new dope stuff, and you're making it hard on yourself. But that's just the way I've always sampled. You know, just do everything in the MP as far as the sample and records part.
All good. Yeah. Hmm. So I asked you about the dream artist. Um, sorry. My next question is with Tranquilizer Dart,
Mm.
for all those that are just listening for the first time, what do you want them to take from hearing the new album?
I mean, I just hope they like the songs. It's not really like a concept album at all. It's just a collection of songs, and it was. I mean, I had two options: don't put it out or put it out. You know what I mean? Like once I got the idea in my head, like you're looking at an album. This little iTunes playlist is good. You know, put it out or don't put it out. I guess the other option, which I didn't really consider at the time, was just rolling out each song as its own single and saying "fuck an album."
Mm,
But I'm an album thinker. Like that's how I look at things as like like a collection, right? Like you get what I'm saying. Whether it's an EP or
mm,
I don't look at songs like like they're just a single, but I'm trying to like adapt the way that I think and like evolve into more of a single based campaign moving forward. Like I want to continue working with a lot of these people that I have worked with or I'm currently working with or working with for the first time. But instead of like trying to collect another album's worth of songs and putting them out as a Dub Sonata album, I think I'd rather just work with people, produce for them, or do like short collaborative projects, whether it grows into an album or it's just like a single or two. Just drop like an A and a B side and just keep it moving. If people like it, let's keep the formula up and do some more shit. But instead of like sitting on stuff, you end up hoarding it like I did for 10 years. I got these songs, they're dope. Like they're out there. I want to make new ones. I'm just gonna do my best to consistently drop. Whether it's a single, an EP, or whatever it is. So yeah, I got some cool stuff on the way. I got a project with Double AB and Nejma Nefertiti, which is it's not titled just yet. We're still thinking about that, but we got like 8 or 9 tracks done. It's a really, really dope concept album. Really, really dope and different. Never been done before. They both sound really dope together. Tone Spliff actually is doing the cuts. He just sent the cuts back for one of them. Yeah, Napoleon the Legend is on one of the joints, and we're working on finishing a couple of them up. But we'll, as soon as we get our things in order, get a couple of visuals done, we're gonna start dropping that one, and that project is gonna fuck people up. It's really dope. It's different. It's really dope. Really dope. Yeah.
As soon as you mention Double AB and Nejma, I'm already imagining trying to hit the two of them together.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Yes, it's dope. It's dope. So, look out for that. You follow me or Nejma or AB. We'll all start talking about it a little more real soon. But yeah, that first joint, we're probably gonna drop that one soon with Tone on the cuts.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Wow. Dub Sonata, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Oh, no doubt. I appreciate you having me on, really. Thank you.
Definitely. For all those that are tuning in, definitely need to check out the new album, Tranquilizer Thought.
Please do.
The man just broke down each track with a featured artist. It doesn't get any better than that.
Word. Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah, check it out. It's everywhere, wherever you normally find music. And we got some vinyl left for the vinyl junkies like me out there. And stay tuned. I'm not going to be going too long without dropping something. I got a few projects on the line right now. So yeah, happy to be making some noise. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will be copping that Nights in Cuba vinyl. Definitely
no
put
doubt.
That in my collection.
Yo, appreciate that. Yeah, that's a dope project. It's worth noting that it's a double vinyl, and the side D is all brand new material too. So that'll be cool.
Nice.
Yeah, you'll fuck with it. Yeah, good looking.
Definitely. Before we let you go,
yeah,
the floor is yours to give the shout outs.
Shouts to you first and foremost. Thank you for having me on. Shouts to everybody at Man Bites Dog. Shouts to all the artists. I think I named everybody. If I didn't, my bad. Everybody that contributed to that Tranquilizer Dart joint. And I hope y'all check out Nights in Cuba. The original album is out there now, re-releasing with some new joints. And yeah, man, just stay tuned. I'll be making some noise over the next weeks and months and hopefully years. So stay tuned.
Dope. And also let the people know where they can reach out to you on the social.
Oh, it's just Dub Sonata. Anywhere that I got a thing on, I got an account on, which is pretty much just Instagram and Twitter. I'm not really on Facebook like that. Anything else really notable. So, check me out on Instagram. It's kind of a mix of photography and some of the music stuff I'll be doing. And I'm on Twitter more as a listener than a talker, but you can find me there too.
I just put the IG link for all those tuning in to go check that out.
Good looking.
Definitely. Again, I appreciate you taking your time. I will
Thank
continue
you.
to check your IG for the dope photos that you're capturing.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you very much for what you do, for me, for all the other artists out there. And yeah, man, glad to be connected with you.
Right. Definitely. And also shout out and thank you to Man Bite Stalk Records.
Big shouts to them. Big shouts to them. Yep.
On behalf of our HHDG media crew, I'm going to say thank you and peace.
Peace.